Hermia and Helena, Act 3, Scene 2.
Oh me, you juggler, you canker blossom, you thief of love. What, have you come by night and stolen my love's heart from him?
Fine, I say. Have you no modesty, no maiden shame, no touch of bashfulness? What, will you tear impatient answers from my gentle tongue? Fie, you counterfeit, you puppet you!
Puppet? Why so? Aye, that way goes the game. Now I perceive that she hath made compare between our statures. She hath urged her height, and with her personage, her tall personage, her height, forsooth, she hath prevailed with him. And are you grown so high in his esteem, because I am so dwarfish and so low? Well, how low am I, thou painted maypole? Speak! How low am I? I am not yet so low, but that my nails can reach unto thine eyes.
I pray you, though you mock me, gentlemen, let her not hurt me. I was never cursed. I have no gift at all in shrewishness. I'm a right maid of my cowardice. Let her not strike me. You perhaps may think because she is something lower than myself that I can match her.
Lower! Hark again!
Good Hermia, do not be so bitter with me. I evermore did love you, Hermia. Did ever keep your counsels, never wronged you. Say that in love unto Demetrius. I told him of your stealth unto the woods. He followed you, for love I followed him, but he have chinned me hence and threatened me, to strike me, spurn me, nay, to kill me too. And now, so you will let me quiet go to Athens? Will I bear my folly back and follow you no further? Let me go and see how simple and how fond I am.
Why, get you gone. Who is it that hinders you?
Foolish heart that I leave here behind.
What, with Lysander?
With Demetrius. Oh, when she is angry, she is keen and shrewd. She was a vixen when she went to school, and though she be but little, she is fierce.
Ugh, little again, nothing but low and little. Why will you suffer her to flout me thus? Let me come to her. Ugh! Ye mistress, all this coil is long of you. Nay, go not back.
I will not trust you. I no longer stay in your cursed company. Your hands than mine are quicker for fray. My legs are longer, though, to run away.
Ugh. I am amazed and know not what to say.
Shakespeare Fun Facts with Adelaide.
Hey everyone, it's Addie here with some fun facts about Shakespeare. First up, did you know that a lot of words in the English language today were made up by him? Words like unearthly, uncomfortable, undress, dauntless, critic, swagger, lonely, fashionable, laughable. He also made up lots of phrases that we hear today. Good riddance, heart of gold, dead as a doornail, wild goose chase, for goodness sake, and one fell swoop. Another fun fact which might speak to us pertinently in this time is that Shakespeare turned to writing sonnets because of a plague. The plague had caused all theatres to be shut down. Sound familiar? I guess there is proof from now and then that even in dark times when theatres are shut down, you can find creativity in many other forms. For any Star Trek fans out there, 2 of Shakespeare's plays have been translated into Klingon. You can read Hamlet and Much Ado About Nothing in the fantasy language. If you don't know already, Shakespeare's wife was called Anne Hathaway, who was 8 years his senior. Interestingly enough, to Today's Hollywood actress Anne Hathaway is married to someone who looks a little like Shakespeare, Adam Schulman. See for yourself. Finally, Shakespeare died in 1616, and though no one knows how, it is possible that it was from a typhoid outbreak. When he died, he only left his wife a bed in his will, and there are no direct descendants of Shakespeare alive today.
Phoebe, Act 3, Scene 5.
Think not I love him, though I ask for him. 'Tis but a peevish boy. Yet he talks well. But what care I for words? Yet words do well when he that speaks them pleases those that hear. It is a pretty youth. Not very pretty, but sure he's proud. And yet his pride becomes him. He'll make a proper man. The best thing in him is his complexion, and faster than his tongue did make offence, his eye did heal it up. Oh, he is not very tall, yet for his years he is tall. His leg is but so, and yet 'tis well. There was a pretty redness in his lip, a little riper and more lusty red than that mixed in his cheek. 'Twas just the difference between the constant red and mingled damask. Oh, there be some women, Silvius, had they marked him in parcels, as I did, would have gone near to fall in love with him. But for my part, I love him not, nor hate him not. And yet I have more cause to hate him than to love him. For what had he to do to chide at me? He said mine eyes were black, and my hair black, and now I am remembered, scorned at me. I marvel why I answered not again. But that's all one. Omittance is no quittance. I'll write to him a very taunting letter, and thou shalt bear it. Wilt thou, Silvius?
Women in Shakespeare with Alyssia.
Hello, it's Alyssia here. I hope you have been relaxing whilst listening to our podcast with a beverage in your hand, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, your decision. You may have noticed throughout our podcast so far that you have only heard female voices. This is not a coincidence. In fact, we are proud to say that we are an all-female cast and crew. I know. This may be a shock to some, as Shakespeare and his plays are often heavily associated with male characters, especially those where the title itself is the male protagonist's name, such as Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth. Well, I could go on and on. With this being the case, it does beg the question of why a group of all-female actors have decided to perform Shakespeare. Well, the answer is simple. First and foremost, Shakespeare was a literary genius, so of course we would want to engage with his world-renowned plays. We all felt this huge desire to perform our own interpretations of those famous phrases we all love and know. Now, most of the monologues and duologues on this podcast are the property of female characters, some of whom were traditionally tossed aside whilst the males took the spotlight. Through the decision to highlight the female voices, we intend to remind you, the listeners, of the extreme importance of these characters within the play and show how detailed they are as individuals. Romeo and Juliet would not be the masterpiece it is without the decisive, passionate and headstrong Juliet. As You Like It would not be the gripping comedy without the witty, independent Rosalind. And Antony and Cleopatra would not be as heart-wrenching if the charismatic enchantress Cleopatra did not drive the play forward and conclude it with such a controlled devastation. This being said, I must acknowledge the fact that one of our cast members is in fact playing a boy, Romeo. We did this to surprise you and keep you on your toes, but also to completely subvert the norm, be all rebellious and modern. As many of you may know, in the Elizabethan era, women were the property of men. They had very few rights, not being able to partake in many aspects of life at the time. This included performing on the stage, which seems absolutely illogical and devastating to us now. Instead, the female parts were played by boys whose voices were yet to break. It wasn't actually until 1660, when Charles II took the throne, when women were actually able to take to the stage. We want to oppose this traditional setup and show you that anyone can play any character so long as you truly commit and believe in the words you speak. Men can play women, women can play men, and humans can even play animals, as seen in the hit musicals of Cats and Shrek. Instead of focusing on the genders of our characters, look further and try to identify the hidden messages Shakespeare placed within his carefully selected language, and ask yourself why he might have done this. And how does this make you feel? Anyway, I think I've taken up enough of your time, so without further ado, I'd like to wish you a wonderful day and hand over to the fabulous cast for the rest of our Shakespearean podcast. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Cordelia, Act 1, Scene 1.
Unhappy that I am, I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, nor more nor less. Good my lord, you have begot me, bred me, loved me. I return those duties back as a right fit, obey you, love you, and most honour you. Why have my sisters husbands, if they say they love you all? Happily, when I shall wed, that lord whose hand must take my plight shall carry half my love with him, half my care and duty. Sure, I shall never marry like my sisters, to love my father all.
Character hot seat with the team.
I'm Phoebe from As You Like It.
Hi, I'm Helena from A Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Hi, I'm Cordelia from King Lear.
Hi, I'm Romeo, and I've been told there's a play about me called Romeo and Juliet, apparently.
I'm Hermia, and I'm from A Midsummer Night's Dream.
And I'm Juliet from Romeo and Juliet.
What type of flirt are you?
Well, I have to say, I think I'm probably not the best flirt, although I did manage to get Sylvius to like me, and he still likes me.
I think that I'm quite a good flirt. I mean, I think I'm good. I haven't had much success in my flirting, but I'm determined.
I don't think that I need to flirt at all. I know that I'll have a marriage arranged for me, and that'll be fine. We'll just love each other straight away.
I don't know, Juliet. What kind of flirt am I? What would you say?
Well, you kind of go a bit all in. It's sometimes.
Ouch. Okay.
But it's nice. It's not. I like it. It might not be for everyone though, because you do tend to like really, really love someone after just meeting them. Which I loved you, but maybe if I wasn't me and I didn't love you, someone might think it was slightly stalkerish. But that's not my opinion. That's not my opinion at all. I love you, darling.
Oh, okay, good. That's good.
I'm definitely someone who likes to wrap someone around my finger. I like to be very flirty and seductive and have the attention on me, but when it doesn't go my way, it's not great. I love the attention.
Well, I try and be all mysterious and hard to get, but then sometimes I happen to be staring out my window confessing my thoughts, and sometimes someone is just waiting there listening, so then I can't flirt because he's just heard me confess how much I love him. What do you have to say for yourself?
It's very flattering. So we're doing it again sometime, Juliet.
What 21st century song describes you?
I know mine. I think mine would be Skater Girl by Avril Lavigne, because I'm really classy and wonderful and lovely, and he's a bit edgy, and I shouldn't be with him. None of my friends or family want me to be with him.
Yeah, no, I think mine would be Marry You by, let me think, Bruno Mars. Yeah, that would definitely be my one. Yeah, I'm a bit desperate.
I think mine would be Love Story by Taylor Swift, and to help me get Ganymede, because I think that would just really charm him.
Oh, that's lovely, except that song was written about me.
Right?
Julie,
Use you. I thought that idea was original.
You've got to watch the video, that's the thing. You've got to watch the music video and then you know.
I think my song would be Before You Go by Lewis Capaldi, because they're always just leaving me. That's so sad.
So depressing.
I know.
No way, Helena.
I think mine would be To Build a Home by the Cinematic Orchestra, because I feel like that's all anyone really wants, isn't it? Just a family.
I think there's either Bad Blood by Taylor Swift, or maybe like Dark Horse by Katy Perry. Bad blood between Helena and Hermia in that scene.
Your house is burning down. You can only take 3 things. What are they?
I would take a picture of Ganymede. I think I'd also take a photo of me and Rosalind, because we get on really well. And I do like being lucky, so I do have a 4-leaf clover in my room, so I might take that, so then I'll come across some luck.
I think that I would take my hairbrush, because I always had to keep my hairbrush just in case Demetrius comes. Probably money, because you never know when you need money, and I would hope that I would help Hermia, come out with me so she doesn't burn.
I guess I should go then. I would take, well, number 1, some high heels to wear so that I'm not so short. Also then the ring that Lysander proposed to me with, that I've kept in a box because I can't let my father see. Yeah, I guess Helena, or at least a picture of her if she's in a different house.
I would take my sword, and I would take my journal where I've written everything that me and Juliet have ever said to each other down. And I would take this new necklace that I bought Juliet, which has a pretty J on it, and it's got some flowers in it and things like that, which I made myself. But she doesn't know about it yet, but she does now. So.
Oh, well, why aren't you taking me? Are we not living together in this Because I'd take you, because in my house we're living in our nice little picket fence in the countryside, because that's where we're going to live, isn't it, darling?
Yes, definitely. Oh.
Burn, so I'm going to take you.
Oh, okay. I just thought you had some legs, but no.
You're supposed to save me.
Oh yeah, no, I will.
Not to make Juliet feel any worse, but I would save my 3 family members. I'd save my father and my 2 sisters. So,
Romeo, is there a lady in the room you will go for that isn't Juliet?
Oh, probably a bit of bad blood. A bit of dark horse, I think. That sounds a bit good. Yeah, probably have to go for that one. But don't tell Juliet anything.
You worry.
I thought I was the only one for you.
Yes, darling, you are. But
You literally died for me. You literally died for me.
No. There just wasn't anyone else on the market. But now there is.
Like Rosalind, all over again. You were in love with her first, and then you were in love with me the next day. I'm not having this.
Juliet, we'll talk about it later. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself.
What would you change your ending to?
I was going to say, I think I can speak for most people here and say not in death. Crazy thought. I'd like to still live. I'd like my father to live. Everyone. There's a lot of deaths.
I think I would love to fall in love with Ganymede. Well, I'm already in love with Ganymede, but I wish that Ganymede would love me.
I don't mind how my story ends as long as I'm with Demetrius. That's fine with me.
Well, I was going to say with Juliet, but I feel like I've kind of blown that one now. So maybe if we could mix Midsummer Night's Dream, go into the world with Romeo and Juliet, maybe it could possibly be Helena or Hermia. I'm not quite sure yet.
I'm sorry, but Lysander's the only guy for me. I'd want to end up with Lysander, with my father's approval. Hopefully he can get on board eventually. And if I can have a good friendship with Helena at the same time, then that would be great too, but it's not the priority.
Well, my plan was to move with Romeo to the countryside, maybe near some mountains and a lake. And we were going to have a nice big house, 3 stories with an attic, and an attic we could convert into a craft room. And we would have 3 little boys, and they would all be born 2 years apart, and they would be named after our family members, because our families would finally get along. But it would seem that that's not going to happen anymore. So I don't really know. I think I'm alright with it ending the way it does, because at least that way Romeo dies.
Well, I would want a little girl anyway, so I don't want 3 boys. 2 boys, 1 girl.
Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 2.
Mercutio's mocking my love, and he's never been in love himself. Wait, what's that light coming from the window over there? It's like the east with Juliet as the morning sun. Rise, Juliet, beautiful sun, and kill the jealous moon, who's already fading and sad because you are far more beautiful than she is. Don't swear of men like the virgin moon, goddess Diana. The moon envies you anyway. Her virginal appearance is weak and pale, and only fools want to emulate it. Get rid of it. Oh, it's my lady. Oh, it's my love. Oh, if only she knew I love her. She's talking, but I can't hear anything. What does it matter? Her expression means something. I can understand that. No, I'm being too forward. She's not talking to me. Oh, if 2 of the most beautiful stars had to leave heaven on important business, they'd ask her eyes to do the twinkling for them while they were gone. What if her eyes took their places in the sky and those stars became her eyes? Her beautiful face would outshine those stars in her head, like daylight outshines lamps. while her eyes in the sky would be so bright at night time that birds would be convinced it was day. Oh, look at how she leans her cheek on her hand. I wish I were a glove on her hand so I could touch her cheek.
Oh my.
She's speaking. Oh, speak again, bright angel. After all, you look as glorious above me as an angel in heaven, sailing through the lazy clouds, and would look to mortals gazing up in the wonder.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, why are you named Romeo? Disown your father and refuse your name. Or, if you will not, then swear that you love me and I'll stop being a Capulet.
Shall I wait for her to say more? Or shall I answer her now?
It's only your name which is my enemy. You are who you are, even if you weren't a Montague. What is a Montague? It's not a hand, nor a foot, nor an arm, nor a face, nor any other concrete part of a body. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? A rose would smell as sweet if we called it by any other name. Romeo, if he had a different name besides Romeo, would be just as perfect as he is with that name now. Romeo, take off your name and exchange that superficial part of you. Take all of me.
I'll take you at your word. Just call me love and I'll rebaptise myself with a different name. From now on, I won't be Romeo.
Who's this man who's hiding in the night and overhearing my private thoughts?
I don't know how to tell you who I am by using my name. My name, my dear saint, is now awful to me. Since it's your enemy, if I had my name written down somewhere, I'd tear up that paper.
I haven't even heard that tongue speak 100 words, but I recognise your voice. Aren't you Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, beautiful saint, if either one displeases you.
How did you come here and why? Tell me. The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and if you're found here by any one of my family, you would be killed, considering who you are.
I flew over these walls with Cupid's light wings, for stone barriers cannot keep love out. Love will dare to attempt to whatever it can do. Therefore your kinsmen are no obstacle to me.
If they do see you here, they'll murder you.
What? There's more risk in your eyes than in 20 of their swords. If you would just look lovingly at me, it would be enough protection from their hatred.
I wouldn't have them see you here for the whole world.
I have the dark cloak of the night to hide me from their sight. And unless you will love me back, then let them find me here. It's better than my life be ended by their hatred than prolonged without your love.
Who gave you directions to my house?
Love prompted me to ask where you live. He gave me directions and I lent him my eyes to find where you live. I'm no ship's navigator, but I would make the most virtuosome voyage to the most distant shore for such a valuable treasure as you.
You know my face is masked by the darkness, otherwise you'd see a young girl's blush on my cheeks for everything you heard me say tonight. I wish I could have thought about the way I said it. I wish I could deny what I said, but oh well. Goodbye, formality. Do you love me? I know you'll say yes, and I'll believe you, but if you swear it, I worry that you might be lying. As they say, Jove laughs at lovers' betrayals. Oh, gentle Romeo, if you do love me, tell me with good faith. Or if you think I've been won over too quickly, I can pout and play hard to get so that you'll have to woo me. If you don't think I'm too hasty to fall in love, I would not refuse you for the world. In truth, dear Montague, I'm too much in love. And so I suppose you might think I'm behaving improperly. But trust me, I'll prove to be a truer lover than those with more cleverness to play games. I should have made you try more, I must confess, but then you overheard my true passionate feelings of love before I knew you were there. So please pardon me for my boldness and don't think I'm taking this too lightly in the dark night.
Dear lady, I swear by the blessed moon that gives a silver glow to these orchard treetops.
Don't swear by the changing moon that varies during its monthly orbit. You might prove just as variable.
What should I swear by?
Don't swear at all. Or, if you want to swear, swear by yourself, the idol I worship. Then I'll believe you.
If my beloved...
Wait! Don't swear. Although I'm so happy with you, I can't be happy about making a commitment tonight. It's too rash, too sudden, we haven't thought it through. It seems too much like the lightning that disappears before anyone can even say, "Look, light." Sweetheart, good night. This promise of love might bloom when we next meet, like a bud matured into a flower under the heat of summer. Good night. Good night. May you be as content and glad at heart as I am.
Oh, are you going to leave me so unsatisfied?
What kind of satisfaction can you expect tonight?
The exchange of our vows of love.
I've already given you my vow of love before you asked for it. And yet I wish I could give it again for the first time.
You'd take it back? For what purpose, my love?
Just to be generous and give it to you again. And yet I already have the only thing I want. My desire to give to you is as big as the sea, and my love is as deep. The more I give to you, the more I have, for both my love and the sea are infinite. I hear someone calling me inside. Goodbye, my love. I'm coming, dear nurse. Stay just a little while. I'll come back.
Oh, blessed, blessed night. I'm afraid since this night that this is just a dream, too wonderful to be real.
Just a brief word, dear Romeo, and then good night indeed. If your intentions are honourable and you'd like to marry me, send me a message tomorrow night about where and what time you'd like to meet me. I'll send a messenger. I'll leave my future at your feet and I'll follow you throughout the world, my lord.
Madame!
I'm coming! But if you're not serious, then I beg you.
Madame!
I'm on my way, just a minute! To quit pursuing me and leave me to my grief. I'll send someone to you tomorrow.
That's the way my soul will prosper.
1,000 times good night.
I'm 1,000 times worse off without the light you give. A lover goes towards his love like a schoolboy runs away from his books. But a lover leaves his love like a schoolboy trudges to school again.
Psst, Romeo, psst. If only I could call Romeo like a skilled falconer calls his bird to return. But, being bound by my family's attitude towards the Montagues, I'm stuck using a hoarse whisper. Otherwise I would make Romeo's name echo off the mountains, and make the goddess Echo herself hoarse from repeating Romeo so much.
Your voice seems to come from my very soul. By night, sweet lovers' voices are like the softest music.
Romeo?
My dear.
What time tomorrow should I send a messenger to you?
At the hour of 9.
I won't fail. It feels like 20 years until then. I forgot why I called you back.
And I'll happily stand here until you remember.
I shall forget what I was thinking so that you'll have to stay here. And I'll only remember how much I love your company.
And I'll stay forever, having you forget forever, forgetting any other home but this.
Oh, it's almost morning and I want you to go. Oh, but I don't want you to go further than a little hop from my hand before you're pulled back. Like the bird of a spoiled child who keeps a poor thing prisoner, out of jealousy for its freedom.
I wish I were your bird.
Dear, so do I. But I would kill you with too much affection. Good night. Good night. Parting is such a sweet sadness that I would willingly say goodbye over and over until the next morning.
May sleep be in your eyes and peace in your heart. If only I could sleep and peace to rest there. I'll go to the cell of my priest, ask his help and tell him about my good fortune.
Actor Hot Seat with team members.
Okay, I'm Alyssia, and I'm playing Phoebe from As You Like It.
I'm Holly, I'm playing Helena from A Midsummer's Night's Dream.
My name's Emma and I'm playing Cordelia from King Lear.
I'm Izzy and I'm playing Romeo from Romeo and Juliet.
I'm Adelaide and I'm playing Hermia from A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I'm Ella and I'm playing Juliet from Romeo and Juliet.
Why did you choose that character and scene?
Well, I think in terms of the play, for example, I chose the play because in this day and age when it's performed, it's actually empowering for women and shows that they have the capability to play more depthy characters, and they're able to take charge of a situation. Also, As You Like It is very light-hearted and a comedy, and in that particular scene, I think Phoebe is hilarious because she's constantly contradicting herself, going, do I love him? But then he's really evil. Do I love him? And I think that's quite relatable because I think we all go through those kind of moments where we try and justify our decisions. And she just shows power over Sylvius as well, because she's fully aware that he is in love with her, and yet she uses that to her advantage, which, you know what? Go on, girl, you do that. I'm up for that.
I think that Helena is a great character. She has a lot of ups and downs within the play. I really like her as a character. I really like the play. The scene that we chose was very fun to perform and play around with, which made it really interesting, and it was quite relatable in the argument. Like, you argue a lot with your friends over silly things like boys. So yeah, it was very fun.
I really like King Lear because there's been a lot of recent adaptations, and I think it's really interesting when they sort of change the settings and try and make it more modern. And again, with a lot of Shakespeare's plays, how it's still really relevant for today's audiences. And funnily enough, I chose Cordelia because I don't particularly like her. Again, she's sort of like that Virgin Mary image. She's very much unknown for her motives. It doesn't quite make sense why she wouldn't quite go along with it, because I can't lie, I don't think it's that against her morality to just say that she really loves her father. And again, it plays to that sort of Shakespearean like ideal woman who, you know, has all of their family ideas intact and you know, loves and serves their father but no more than their husband. And so I just thought it'd be really interesting to sort of challenge myself to try and get into this weird sort of anti-feminist mindset and see how I could go along with that.
Yeah, I chose Romeo and Juliet because I studied at a school, but only in like an English kind of format, and I was kind of just tired of writing essays on it. I wanted to make it kind of a practical thing and get up and do it, and obviously it's really famous, really famous Shakespeare play, so it's quite a challenge. And then Romeo, I've never ever in my whole kind of acting career, no, I'm not going to call it a career, that sounds, no, not a career. No, my whole kind of acting experience, I've never played a guy. Even in the girls' school, I've always been the girl. So yeah, I really definitely wanted to have a go at a guy and kind of see this play from a guy's perspective, because I've always kind of looked at it biasly towards Juliet. So that's really fun, and obviously this scene is just very iconic, and I wanted to have a go at it and see how passionate I could be, I suppose.
I think I chose A Midsummer Night's Dream and that scene and Hermia because I have done it before and it's always been hilarious to do, and there's so much comedic potential for the whole play. And that scene in particular when Helena and Hermia are battling it out, having an argument, a bit of a vicious one. And I think it's hilarious how it's having an argument over boys, like it's women against women because of men. It's just quite typical, really, and relatable as well. So yeah.
I think, for me, if anyone in my family or any of my friends, so if you said like, oh, what does Ella want to do? Who does Ella want to be in any play, anything in the world? Every single person would say Juliet without a doubt. I've annoyed my family so much throughout my life by being like, I want to be Juliet. Look, this play's doing Romeo and Juliet. Let's go on an audition. My entire life. And I've just been a little bit obsessed with it. I relate to her, which isn't particularly good. I don't think you should aim to relate to her. She is not particularly feminist, and she also dies after 3 days because she's so obsessed with someone. But I do relate to her because I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic. So I think I'd love to get a chance to fully play her, and I just love the play. I just absolutely love it. It's such a classic and so iconic.
Do you think your scene can bring light to any contemporary issues?
I think that As You Like It shows how little women were thought of back in those times, and how they were underestimated, and nobody thought that they could be witty and manipulate a situation, and yet they can. And I think the play shows that, and it still shows that today, and then more so today because also the women are actually playing women. So women are actually playing Rosalind and Phoebe, whereas in the Elizabethan era they would have been played by men. And then the fact that Rosalind then goes and plays a man, I think that shows that women have the capability to play a lot more depthy, detailed characters that aren't just frilly and pawning over a man. They're actually they've got deeper intentions and aim.
Yes, I feel Midsummer Night's Dream is obviously like a classic. It has a lot of topics running through it, but particularly the scene and the characters that we're doing are quite relatable to modern day audiences. I'm not too sure about topics or issues it has. I can't really put my finger on something specific, but mostly about arguments, men influencing women and women's relationship with other women, particularly in this scene. Yeah, if Addie wants to add anything too.
I definitely agree. Like, there's so much kind of reliance on the men, like, for happiness and for everything to be all right and okay. Like, even at the end, like, everything's fine because they all get back together with their chosen loved one. But and even though, like, Hermia kind of defies her father, she's still defying her father to go to another man. So it's like no independence for women here. There's just fawning and doting on men who, you know, it's not independent women living their best life. We also have a lot more strength in ourselves as women, being independent on our own. Yeah.
I think King Lear brings up a lot of like concerns and topics of all of its different themes, because again, Shakespeare has so many underlying themes. Obviously, one of the most obvious ones would be family and family relationships and sort of the lengths that people go to in wills, which obviously can cause a lot of like friction in different like family units. One that's quite topical at the moment is obviously monarchy and the whole God-given right and all of that, and how that should really go down, and like, should you give people that position of power just based on birthrights? Because, you know, King Lear ends up going insane, and if he was still in power, you know, that's not the greatest thing. And then equally, the sort of other chances of power after King Lear leaves the throne would obviously be for two sisters' husbands, and they're just sort of not good options. So I think that's quite interesting. I mean, obviously, the lack of feminist stance and how all of these women, I mean, some of the women are strong in King Lear, but they're horrible women, so it doesn't really work.
Yeah, like in terms of like Romeo and Juliet, I kind of look at it in kind of two ways, I suppose. First of all, I kind of look at it and think, okay, that's really not relevant to today's society, because relationships do not work like that. I mean, there's no kind of thing to say the boy should be falling over feet for the girl kind of thing anymore. And obviously there's completely different relationships going on in modern society. So yeah, although a lot of people these days don't really like look at it as being like literal, this should be this should be this, it's more kind of just like a, I don't know, kind of like a background scenario. But
Yeah, I was my answers changed from what I thought it was going to be, because I was just thinking about the idea of the families and the rivalry between the families and like forbidden love. Not so much that it's an issue that's brought up today, but it's so prevalent. It's such a prevalent trope in everything now. I was watching High School Musical the other day, and I was like, this is Romeo and Juliet. Grease, and then West Side Story obviously is like, it's just again and again, and it's constantly relatable. So there must be something in it that is so inherently wanting to rebel against your family and like wanting to love someone for who they are rather than who they are in society. And I think that's what you should take most from it, is just who you love.
Something that I'd just like to add is, obviously, you know, while all of these plays that we're talking about are Shakespeare plays, a lot of them are based on books or poems by other authors, and there is a lot of questions about not authenticity, but about how much of it was original. And that, you know, we see that with everything, you know, like our Disney shows and Disney movies that we watch, again, they're based on other things, and it's a story from years and years ago. But I think that is quite interesting, or something to take into account, that they're, you know, stories from, even, you know, when we're looking back at it in Shakespearean times, that is based on something from even further ago.
If you could change your story genre, what would you change it to?
Well, I would think with As You Like It, because it has women playing men, I think it already gives itself to the genre of pantomime. But then at the same time, I don't think that's really doing Shakespeare justice, and I think that might make the play a bit of a farce, which I don't think you want to do. I think it's a lot more serious than that, and the themes within it are much more depthy than in a pantomime. But also because of the fact that it's a woman playing a man, and the theatre's come so far and it enables women to be on stage, whereas it wasn't in the Elizabethan era, I think that you could definitely do a feminist take on it and have the whole cast being female. And I think that would be really saying something political, because I think there's still inequality to an extent.
I would think it would be really interesting if you turned Midsummer Night's Dream into a queer play where Helen and Hermia are longing for each other, and Lysander and Demetrius are longing for each other, and they kind of have to hide themselves with in their relationships with each other, and then like, with the fairies coming in, it just would work really well as a concept, I think.
I think that King Lear would work really well with a digital twist like they've done recently. Was it Dreams? I think it was. And sort of, because I think there's something like, there's so many versions of King Lear that are like just out and about because it's been rewritten so many times. And like, I think there was one playwright that changed the ending, and so, you know, why not make it a little bit interactive, give the audience choices? And again, that's something that's new to theatre, and I definitely think that it's evolving.
I was going to say turn Romeo and Juliet into a musical, but I've realised that Andrew Lloyd Webber is literally doing that right now, so it's already done. Nothing's original anymore. But yeah, no, that's normally my thing, musicals, so turn it into a musical. But I think what I would do is I'd go down the digital path as well, and kind of throw curveballs into Romeo and Juliet like we have today, like social media. Would you still want him if you saw him, I don't know, like kissing another girl on Snapchat or something like that? So I kind of wanted to throw that kind of modern twist in there with all the other stuff that we have to deal with, like social media and everything else, the internet. So yeah, that might
even showing it in the modern era, like brings up so many questions because it's so morally kind of wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, Juliet's, is she meant to be 13 or something? Like, that's crazy.
I want to see Romeo and Juliet as superheroes. Just like have the Montagues and Capulets be rival superhero families. Like one of them can like shoot lasers and the other ones can turn invisible. I just think it would make it more exciting for no particular
Civil War.
Yes. America Civil War, but Romeo and Juliet. But it is, because it's like WandaVision, like Scarlet Witch and Vision were on opposite. Oh no, that's been done.
Oh no.
I also agree with superheroes. for Midsummer's, like with Helena and Hermia. I think they could be the like Wonder Women and like have their big like heroic part at the end instead of depending on the men to be the superheroes for once. Yeah.